we know people are watching stuff, but when these surveys drop, I feel like Hollywood all of a sudden acts surprised, like they didn't know what was going on.
You're saying the kids aren't watching movies anymore.
Well, the the kids are watching a bunch of stuff. They're just not watching it in theaters, and they're not surprisingly they're not watching it. We're talking about Netflix. They're not watching stuff on Netflix either, is the thing.
Right. And then
So,
Netflix is starting to license like YouTube videos.
are they really?
Yeah.
I'm Kale from Cinestruct,
And I'm Alexander Bergman.
and this is
CíNEMA
Cinema
REVOLUTION.
Revolution. Alex, you're looking spectacular today. What's going on? What's I
Wow.
can't tell what it is. What's different?
Well, I have a little secret. Yeah. Anamorphic lenses. That's right. This curvature in the bokeh that you're noticing, that's not just a fluke. That's my lenses. I just
Oh
upgraded.
man.
It's been a lifelong dream to shoot with anamorphic lenses. Every time I've ever shot without anamorphic lenses has been a compromise. And I say no more. No more compromises. Henceforth, it'll be an anamorphic world for me. Twisted and turning and dreamlike in perspective. I'm happy to be here.
I mean, it looks spectacular. Like
Love it.
you're looking, I mean,
I feel
you
different.
know, I feel a little inadequate right now. I'm not gonna lie, Alex. Like, what are you doing to me here?
I don't I I don't wanna say that you are indeed inadequate because of your lack of anamorphic lenses, but I won't not say that. So let's just leave it there.
All right, we'll see if my cheap tricks will fool the crowd out there that might be watching
No
this.
one you're not no one's fooling nobody. It's a feeling, Kale. It's an emotional response, a Pavlovian response, like vinyl versus MP3. It Anamorphosis is unlike any other feeling.
Hey, you don't have to sell me on it because I mean, I love the way it looks. I mean, you can just, I mean, look at this. This is
It
awesome.
feels
This is
good.
great.
And, anytime I watch a movie that's been shot spherically where they crop off the top and bottom, I'm just wondering what's up there and what's down below because I know they're hiding something from me. With anamorphic, you're using every inch of that sensor. There is no hiding. You're showing more than a lens should be able to see. It is magic. It is movie magic. What are we here to do? We're here to transport people to other worlds. And when you just shoot spherical and crop the lens, it's kind of like playing pretend instead of doing it for real. It's a cheat. I feel cheated as a viewer. I feel like I'm missing something that you cut off. I'm not getting more, I'm getting less. It is a distinct visual difference.
It is. And I'm glad that we're getting some cinematography education today.
Yeah, as a cinematographer, I'm very shy to share the secrets of my avocation, but you can see the proof is in the pudding with the images that were popping out of here.
Oh yeah, I'm loving it. So, one other thing that you've been up to, Alex, so you dropped a new YouTube video, and when I saw it, I was just like, okay, we have to talk about this because you touched me. Like, I mean, you always say stuff that touch me, but this time it touched me because you touched on something that really, really I could relate to with the whole Netflix streaming experience. So, tell us a little bit about the video and what the point you were trying to make with that video.
It's funny I shot that a month ago just on a whim, but it's been something that's really been on my mind for quite a while, and I'm so glad that it touched you. I feel there's so many people out there that need to heed this advice. Um, it's that Netflix will ruin your life. I know it sounds ridiculous. I know it sounds crazy, but when you break it down into the truth, it's that when we subscribe to these services, there's a sunken cost fallacy that we want to get our money's worth by going to that service. It's a one-stop shop for entertainment, right? And it sounds good in theory, but the problem is we have limited time, or we don't have long to live. And there's so many great movies, and it's important that we go watch them. If you're a filmmaker, but even if you're a person living, we like to watch good stuff, right? What happens with Netflix is you end up watching content, if you watch anything at all. And night after night, you do this over and over. You end up not watching anything great. Once in a blue moon, you'll watch something amazing, but then that show's over or that movie's over, and then you're back to just shoveling sugar in your mouth. So I canceled Netflix. What I do now is I go on Letterboxd, or I talk to people, uh, or I remember movies that I've been meaning to watch for years. I go to personally, I have Apple. So even on my phone, I'll pull up Apple and I'll add a movie to watch next. It doesn't have to be on Apple. It just has to be available for rent. It'll show you all the options it's available for rent, either there, or it might be free on one of your streamers if you have other streamers. But the point is, you don't go streamer first, you go material first. These are the 5 movies I need to watch next. You put those in your playlist, and then instead of sitting down on the couch and at the end of a long day, you're so tired, you want to watch something good, you don't have time to think of anything good, so you end up flipping around and watching crap. Here, you make it very easy for yourself. Oh, Sing Sing. Yes, I'll watch that right now. Or A Simple Man, or anything great that you've been meaning to watch that is out there and available to rent. You click open your queue, you watch that fucking movie, and you have a great night, a great week, a great life filled with meaningful, purposeful media.
Definitely when it comes to Netflix, I can definitely relate with everything that you just went over because I just had the experience that you just described. I was trying to watch a movie earlier this week and I was scrolling through. I was like, I want to watch something new. And it wasn't just Netflix. Here's the thing: Netflix, HBO Max, Prime Video, Hulu. It's the same thing with all of them. There's all this stuff, and their focus isn't on like surfacing stuff that, to your point, is like what we'd call a healthy diet of like good stuff to watch. It's all like, oh, the new Netflix original, whatever crap it is. And then it's like, I know this isn't good because I've clued in enough to know that that stuff isn't actually very good because you watch it and then it's kind of like, okay, this kind of sucks. But then you end up trying to figure out what to watch. And I like the methodology that you have where it's like before you even turn anything on, just like you just already have a queue ready to go. And then it's just a matter of just like seeing, okay, this is in the queue. Today's the day I'm gonna
Yeah.
watch this thing and I'm gonna watch it.
You just go start knocking them off, you just watch the best of the best, and, like, you go to sleep happy, and you wake up
Yeah.
happy, and your whole life is better.
Yeah. So I definitely could sympathize. The other thing that I was thinking about, because CíNEMA Revolution, we talk to a lot of filmmakers that are like making the stuff, right? And we actually have been talking to some filmmakers who are getting closer to that distribution side or have already distributed their stuff, and their stuff is lost on Netflix. So as much as like as much as you're scrolling, like can't find the stuff, like, and we know that these indie filmmakers are putting this stuff out there, and then it just gets lost in this giant deluge of crap that's hidden by the Netflix algorithm.
It's like we wanted all you can eat, but you end up with just a trough full of crap. So here's what I do. Look, I open my, let's get it in focus. There's the Apple TV app. It's not Apple TV Plus. You don't have to need a subscription or whatever. You just click that and you go in and you find the movie you want to watch. Let's say it's The Graduate, right? Okay, I've never seen The Graduate. So I type that
Mm,
in,
good example.
and then you type it in, and then you hit um you add it, the little top button, you add it to next, and there it's in your queue. So now at night when my brain doesn't work, the first thing that shows up in my list of movies is I want to watch is The Graduate. All I have to do is hit play. Look, it's already on Prime Video. I don't even have to rent it. Or
Nice.
you can rent it for $4 from Apple if you don't have Prime Video. Spend the $4. It's worth it.
Spend the $4.
Every time. It's once in a while you'll pay $4 and you'll see a bad movie. You just turn it off. It's okay. Just watch another movie.
And do you remember how much we were paying for like okay, I'm not old enough for the VHS days. I do remember them though, but like wanting to like go to Blockbuster and rent a DVD, like I mean, that stuff in both time and money. Actually, that was a fun experience. Alex, do you remember like just going to a Blockbuster and just like figuring out what to watch? And I was young, so I couldn't watch half the stuff that I wanted to watch because it was all R-rated. But that was
Yeah.
fun.
You know, we like to look back reverently at the Blockbuster days, but in reality, it was the same as Netflix, where they have 3,000 movies. You don't know which one you want to watch. With Blockbuster, you find one you do want to watch, but all the copies have been rented out. That's just like Netflix. Nope, not available. Yeah, great movie, but no, not available. I did enjoy the small boutique video rental stores though, because great tight selection. You know, they had dollar Wednesdays where I would just rent. What I would do is actually I would rent like 5 movies on Wednesdays, and I had 2 VCRs.
Mm,
So with one
wow.
VCR, I played the tape, and with the second VCR, I would copy the movie onto
You would
another.
rip it.
So I've been a pirate since before most of y'all were born.
Okay. Unfortunately for me, I grew up in Florida for most of my childhood. We didn't have a whole lot of like the nice like curated like video rental places. I was stuck with just Blockbuster.
It was great. It always felt good going in there.
Um, there is something else I wanted to touch on. So earlier this week, I don't know when we're gonna drop this episode, so forget the point of reference in terms of time, but there's an article, and Veronica and I did a quick recording about it, but there was an article in the Hollywood Reporter that was about, they did some surveys and they found that, and this isn't surprising, Gen Z is watching and appreciates YouTube and content, that kind of content, more so than professionally made movies and TV shows. And they were going through all the survey data and stuff. And Veronica and I, we did this quick recording talking about it. And I wanted to chat with you a little bit about that too. Um, because this isn't something, I guess, that's new information or anything. We know people are watching stuff, but when these surveys drop, I feel like Hollywood all of a sudden acts surprised, like they didn't know what was going on.
You're saying the kids aren't watching movies anymore?
Well, the the kids are watching a bunch of stuff. They're just not watching it in theaters, and they're not, surprisingly, they're not watching it. We're talking about Netflix. They're not watching stuff on Netflix either, is the thing.
Right, because and
So,
now Netflix is starting to license, like, YouTube videos.
are they really?
Yeah, there's some big YouTuber that Netflix just started to license their videos. Um, yeah, I don't know what to say about that. Uh, I think there's always gonna be movie fans, and there's always gonna be Luddites who just or that's not the word, but there's always gonna be people who don't watch movies, and, you know, God bless them. Their brains are fried by constant dopamine slaps of TikTok and YouTube, and, they can't piece together, a coherent narrative because their whole life is a jumble of puzzle pieces. I'm sorry for them. Um, some of them will grow and learn to have the patience to get through a narrative that lasts more than 4 minutes, and some of them will just live in a state of constant buzzing, unconscious confusion until they inevitably, drop dead from dopamine depletion. I don't know.
Well, you know what? The one thing that, and just bringing it back to independent filmmaking, um, I think the one takeaway that I think independent filmmakers should take from all this stuff, and to your point, Alex, there is a lot of crap, and the unfortunate thing is that people keep eating the crap. But I think the one thing that independent filmmakers can take away from looking at these trends, we know that what Hollywood has been doing hasn't been working the if the kids, let's call them kids, aren't watching that stuff. So one of the points that I was making with the chat with Veronica was that if indie filmmakers focus on niche content, meaning not trying to make this, you know, generalized four-quadrant, cookie cutter, boring stuff, but focused on very, very specific niche stories that they can find like an enthusiastic audience for. That's how, as filmmakers, we can kind of combat that because that's what people are honestly finding on these other platforms, on YouTube and whatever. It might be in some cases not professionally done or whatever, and it might be kind of cheap, but there's something to like having stuff that is so unique to whatever that interest is. And that's what I think those YouTube creators are tapping into. And indie filmmakers could take a thing or two from them because clearly can't take anything from Hollywood because they don't know what they're doing in this respect. So,
Yeah, I mean, to spin it, in a positive light, we can look at it as the people want honest, direct, emotionally engaging, real deal, um, art makers, filmmakers, creatives. They're not maybe not connecting with, something like The Electric State, a $300 million Russo brothers Netflix abomination. They're connecting with an influencer who's spitting real stuff. Um, and more, we've seen influencers start to shy away from the razzle dazzle and go more into the real, grounded, this is me type of material. And we've seen Gen Z respond to that stuff. Um, so this could be great. I mean, look at something like Honora winning Best Picture. That's very much about a raw, real, nitty gritty, down to earth. Flawed characters. So if that's the title change that we're dealing with, you know, it could be a very bright future, to be honest, for storytellers, because the numbers are telling the higher ups that we actually prefer real material and not just, you know, the old razzle dazzle, not just glitter and glam.
Yeah, that stuff clearly isn't working anymore. So I hope that's at least a takeaway that indie filmmakers will take from that survey data. Not that the sky is falling, but that there is an opportunity by making stuff that, you know, there's something to what folks are gravitating to with these
Yeah,
content creators.
it's like,
So,
you know, if the sky is falling, the ground is coming up to meet it.
yeah. I like the way you put
You know
that,
what I'm
Alex. That's
saying?
nice. I
We're
like
getting
that.
our head out of the clouds. We're getting our fingers dirty in the soil. It's a good thing.
With that said, go check out Alex's Netflix video on YouTube. Hey, we're talking about Netflix
It's
and
called
YouTube here.
Cancel Netflix Now. And I mean it. This isn't hyperbole. I mean it. Go cancel Netflix. It'll ruin your life.
And also check out the thoughts that we had looking at that Hollywood Reporter article about Gen Z trends with how they're watching stuff. Yeah, so check it out and let us know what you think. Check out Alex's stuff on Cinema Saloon and all our stuff in the Cinema Revolution podcast feed. And yeah, let's keep the revolution going, right? Let's
That's what we
keep it
do.
going.
That's what we do. We bang the drum.
I'll see you on the next one.